for the City of Sault Ste. Marie, and just before we begin, that eHarmony that Marla loves so much, it kind of hit home with me because about a year ago I met someone on eHarmony, and this lady actually lives in Scotland. And for the last year, her and I, we've been getting together, and she's been flying back and forth to Canada, to Scotland, Canada, to Scotland, you know, back and forth. And for the next 6 months, she'll be with us. And just recently, last Friday, we became engaged. And stand up, everybody. Stand up, baby. Stand up. Show everybody who you are. There she is. Not too bad, eh, guys? Anyway, I just wanted to thank Marla and everyone for the invitation. But just before I begin, one thing that I did learn this morning that I have not heard of before, and that was that I use quite a bit actually in the Sioux, and that is moose, mounties, and beer. And I use that quite extensively actually with the folks that have moved in and bought Esser Algoma Steel. And I can tell you that that group from India certainly has taken a hankering for Labatt's Blue. That's for sure. So if we can move on to a lot of this stuff, I'm going to quickly go on with because we've talked about it before. Yeah, if we can, oh, Diana, who's that? Oh, hi. Didn't even know you were over there. Yeah, please. Oh, no, I don't even know where you are on this. Is this our stuff? Because I have the wrong bloody here. Oh, okay. Well, could you back it up a wee bit, please? Oh, okay, you're just going to start with the lip? Well, that saves me a lot of work, okay. Yeah, okay. Sorry about that. Anyway, we began with our local lip in 2009, September, through funding through CIC. First of all, it was kind of a backwards thing in the Sioux. We attacked and constructed our web portal first, Discover the Sioux, which has come a long way actually. We began in 2009 with the LIP Advisory Committee, and under that advisory committee we had 42 agencies and organizations, all sending at least one rep. And with that, we began the research and under a few things that we were looking at, and we conducted focus groups with education, business, employers, health, culture, and rec, to find out and to build a strategy for the community. And with that, we did build well, I have it right here, a copy of it, creating a welcoming community document that was actually approved and adopted by our city council last June. Okay, we can go all past that. Yeah, we're on a roll here. Let's just keep on going. Oh, right there. But anyway, through the document that was approved by council, and through the focus sessions and groups that we had 5 major themes that came about. Number one was developing a welcoming community. How we were going to do that, we had no clue. A welcome center, that was needed, all-inclusive, English as a second language, translation, interpretive services, and also culturally based activities and events. Now basically in the Sioux we have one per year culturally based event, and that's called Passport to Unity, in which our good partners New to the Sioux Community and Career Center put on, and we co-sponsor that with them, and I believe Dwayne's the fella that is good enough that heads that up for us. But we'd like to expand on that big time, especially with our new Multicultural Association in the city that's been dormant for quite a good number of years actually. So February 2011, an immigration forum was just recently held, actually February the 2nd, where we had a good number of information sessions in the morning with folks similar to ourselves here, open to the general public and the community, and in the afternoon we used it as a priority extraction, if you will, that we used in gathering information to forward to Citizenship and Immigration Canada, and also for our own community priorities built. Currently, we have a new proposal going in today to Citizenship and Immigration Canada. Mary? I'll buy you coffee. Continuation of the community awareness campaign. It's a must that the community felt. Our next focus will be more targeted on education and employers and business. A feasibility study we're looking at for the development of a Newcomer Welcome Center. We don't have anything like that in our city. The only thing that we do have where people can actually go and find out certain information right now is the New to the Sioux group with Dwayne. We're planning on having another immigration conference in 2012, highlighting business and education, and of course partner and support our Pan-Northern Marketing and Promotion Initiative with North Bay, Sudbury, and Timmins. And I got to add to that North Bay and Sudbury and Timmins have been a great help with us over the last, especially year and a half. Sudbury and North Bay have become literally big brothers, if you will, in helping us to get where we're at right now, but we still got a long way to go. Well, anyway, Discover the Sioux began in 2007. It was an idea that was came about for funding from the Ontario government, and we needed the tools to provide information tools to our own locals as well as newcomers to the city. Where are we? Discover the Sioux. We actually had an advisory committee, and at that time, the advisory committee led to information brought forward to us that we, with the city, could not have we did not have the infrastructure to support a brand new site. So there again, talking about partnerships, we got a hold of our partners in Sudbury, who will, through the My Sudbury site, host the New to the Sioux site, or the Discover the Sioux site. And it's turned out to be quite a partnership. We pay, I believe, a maintenance fee. That's about it, right, Jay? Are you up with that?
Yeah, I know it's probably.
Yeah, our IT guys at the city pay the bill. We just look after it, the maintenance and content of it and this and that. Anyway, I think we're at the end. Thank you.
Thanks, Marla. Before I get to that particular point, I'll just provide a little bit of context, again, in building partnerships in Sudbury and how that's gone. Unlike North Bay, where they, I guess our interest from an economic development standpoint, again, I work for the economic development department at the city, and our interest is quite similar. Not that long ago, we were faced with labor shortages, and we did similar studies within the labor market, and that's what our employers needed and wanted. They had a hard time recruiting and attracting and retaining skilled individuals because our economy was hot, and that's what they needed. So from an economic development perspective, that's where we come about it. This is hurting our business's ability to do business, and that's why we're in there to help. But obviously, it goes much broader than that. And again, just to a point that Marla stated earlier about dealing with the retention aspect first before you deal with the attraction effort, because your attraction efforts are all for nothing if you can't retain the people you're recruiting. And so that's sort of where it came about. But I guess the major difference is that in Sudbury we did have formal settlement services being offered than had been offered for many, many years. And as well as a network of other organizations that either assisted, for example, diversity advisory panel, which is broader than just immigration, but dealing with that broader, anti-racism and inclusion, social inclusion type aspect. Sudbury Interfaith Dialogue, again, Professions North, that was already talked about earlier. The link programming was already in place in Sudbury, as well as the post-secondary institutions, not only doing attraction, but also doing their part to help integrate their students into campus life, but as well as community life. So things were sort of already happening, but at the same, as much as that's all well and good, the challenge is that there's already organizations doing things that may or may not see things as you see them from a broader community context, to say, this is why we're doing it. We're doing it to for all the right reasons, for helping our community, but again for businesses to thrive, for the long list of reasons why you'd want to get into attraction and retention of newcomers. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, there was a BRE, Business Retention Expansion Report, done back in 2006, 2007. A partnership between the city, the Sudbury Manitoulin Workforce Partnerships Board, and the Chamber, and that's where a lot of the labor market issues were revealed. And then you had the My Sudbury Community Portal that developed the immigration portal, and Sudbury was one of the 5 pilot cities. There was 5 pilot cities when that program first came out, and Sudbury was one of them. So sort of in it early on, and then local immigration partnership came about, and just the application process alone was challenging, but at the same time it brought a lot of the players together that weren't necessarily open and willing to talk to each other. The process forced us to come together, and the application was submitted with everybody seeing what we were submitting as an application. So as I said, there's major steps taken locally to work together. The strategy is under development now, and again, we're working with the organizations that are at the table, like the Sudbury Multicultural Folks Arts Association, the Contact Interculturel Francophone de Sudbury, YMCA Employment Services that now offer settlement services. I mean, there's a long list, probably about 30 to 40 partners. There's a core group that form the management board, of course. And then, now again, that's one aspect. That's the settlement, the integration, and everything that's going to help with retention. And then there's the Pan Northern Initiative that's really about immigration attraction. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about the Business Immigration Attraction Program specifically. Now this was initially a partnership between the City of North Bay and Sudbury. It started, I guess it was going on last spring and into the early summer. It's now expanded to include Timmins and Sault Ste. Marie. And it's a unique program that essentially support businesses with their succession planning and exit strategies by matching qualified business immigrants with targeted investment opportunities through a customized web-based business matchmaking program. And just to use the example that Marla uses quite often, is it's like the eHarmony of business matchmaking. We collect data and information on the business immigrants, investment threshold, management background, that sort of thing, and collect information from the businesses that are for sale. And that's the challenge too, is that a lot of businesses that are for sale don't necessarily want to put a for sale sign up on their front lawn because it hurts business. And so we collect the information quite confidentially. The system runs through, like I said, the investment threshold and the type of business and everything runs through that database, and out comes the matches. We would do the initial contact on either side to say, okay, there's been a match, are you interested, do you want to meet, that sort of thing, and set up an initial meeting, and then the rest is up to them. Next slide. Well, actually I should add though, I say the rest is up to them from the sake of the business deal. For the sake of the business immigrant coming to the community, potentially looking to buy a business in Northern Ontario, obviously we would put them in touch with our respective settlement service agencies and that sort of thing, and assist with that aspect, as well as the assistance we would provide from starting a small business in Ontario and Canada type thing. So as I mentioned, it's basically a support tool to northern businesses looking to get out of business, sell, and it's also to stimulate economic growth by targeting outside investment opportunities. And this was actually, again, going back a couple years when we first started talking about pan-northern immigration attraction initiatives and marketing abroad and how do we attract people, and then the economy tanked and did what it did. It became harder to justify spending money on attracting, because you were likely going to get the backlash of the 600 employees that got laid off at the local mine the week before. Then why are you attracting new people? I just lost my job. So a lot of that came out, okay, well, nobody can argue against this because they're actually creating jobs or maintaining jobs by buying a business. So as I said, now we're working through that second phase from where it's been expanded and moving forward. I don't know if there's anything else you want to add on that. Or Oh, that's right, yeah, I should add, there is a how-to guide for both sides, right? The business immigrant as well as the business on how to access the service, how it works, how we keep the information confidential. We sign confidentiality agreements and everything else moving forward. I will add that part of the challenge, though, is still getting in touch with the potential business immigrants, and I mean, that's what we're working through now as the second phase, is expanding the promotion of that program.
So I am Brenda Camirand. I'm with the Timmins Economic Development Corporation. I'm going to try not duplicate. What Marla and JM spoke to. So I'm going to take a little bit of a different approach. Being from Timmins, we are, I don't want to say a little bit behind, but we are maybe not as established in regards to immigration as North Bay, Thunder Bay, and Sudbury. So just to give you a little bit of a background, Marla talked to the skill shortages and youth immigration, so I'm not going to touch that. We have the same concerns and challenges in our community as well. With the ethnic communities, most other communities have organized ethnic communities. We have a number of groups that work independently. They only come together to do a multicultural festival once a year. So they're not actively participating in the retention and integration of newcomers to our community, and we found that there was a real gap in this area. The other main thing is that we do not have a settlement service agency in our community, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. When we looked at immigration, we tried to figure out what was the best way for us to get involved and really get on this immigration trend that was coming forward. So back when COIA, the Canada-Ontario Immigration Agreement, was being established, we became involved and we sat on those committees to actually get that implemented and the agreement signed. And from that, in Annex F, we now maintain a seat on the Municipal Immigration Committee, which we have found to be very beneficial. It gives us a voice when we are looking at influencing policy in regards to immigration, but also the partnerships that we've built with those communities. And a lot of those communities are in Southern Ontario. Some are facing the same challenges that we are. So the ability to be able to connect with those communities and learn what they're doing has helped us quite a bit as well. Okay, so in regards to projects, we do have a number of projects that are underway in regards to immigration. Like many of the other communities that are out there, we have taken advantage of the funding provided to do an immigration portal, which is the immigrationtimmins.ca portal. It is linked to ontarioimmigration.ca, and it is a fully bilingual site. What we've found in the past is we've really focused on the newcomers coming to our community, and there was yet another gap as far as the employer and making those connections between employers and newcomers. So as we move forward with our portal, we're really looking at ways that we can get our employers involved. We also did a targeted marketing campaign. And we, as a community, are really focused on going after newcomers that are already landed in Canada. I'm sorry, I'm getting over a cold as well, so I'm also cracking. We are really focused on going after newcomers that have already landed in Canada. So we put a lot of focus on GTA and attracting from the Greater Toronto area. We have done targeted marketing campaigns where we have put, mall posters, specifically in Vaughan Mills, and we've had ideal locations where we've been right beside the store listings. We've been on the bus stations, pretty much all over Toronto. We've also, I want to speak to one project, and when I speak to this project, we were kind of a little bit premature in moving forward with it. When we started looking at immigration, we did form a really great partnership, and that was with the Progress Career Planning Institute out of Toronto. And what we did at that point is we actually took members of our community, including our mayor, who was really active, and we went down to Toronto and we held a whole whack of information sessions trying to get newcomers to come to Timmins. At that point, like I said, it was a little bit premature, and we had a little bit of challenge with the employers, but we are seeing now that they are coming around and looking at immigration. But once again, it was a great partnership, and we have moved forward, and we've learned a lot from that, and we continue to work with, not necessarily with Progress Career Planning Institute, but with the IEP conference. And, okay, local immigration partnerships, I'm going to speak to that more in depth if you can. So when funding was released for the local immigration partnerships, because we were so new to immigration, this was a great project for us to sink our teeth into and really get involved. So we applied for funding in 2009 for phase 1, which is now just coming to an end. We had 2 goals. We needed to establish a LIP advisory council. Seeing as nobody actually was working on immigration in our community, we had to have something a little bit more formal put into place. And the second goal that we needed to do was to develop an immigration settlement plan for the city of Timmins. Because again, nobody has actually looked at immigration in our community, nobody knew what existed, and how we should all be working together to make this beneficial. So what we did, we hired a coordinator. We were fortunate enough to be able to hire a newcomer to be able to lead our local immigration partnerships project. We have established a advisory council. We have approximately 16 individuals who sit on that, and it continues to evolve. We've been successful in securing employers. We have service providers. We have education. We have health. We have a very well-rounded LIP advisory council. We also undertook a process to develop a Timmins newcomer community profile. Again, when we were doing this, because we have no settlement office and we have no access to an actual database of newcomers, it was very difficult for us to pull data. So what we did is we used our portal. We tried to gain information through there. We also made a partnership, or we worked with our MPP council as well, our MPP representatives, I should say, because they were the ones specifically in our community dealing with the newcomers. As we move forward, we hired a consultant, actually a local consultant out of North Bay that came up to our community to do focus group sessions. When we went through the focus group sessions, there were 4 in total. We did speak to employers, newcomers, service providers, and came up with a number of recommendations on how we should move forward as a community. So in total, we had over 13 recommendations. 13 recommendations come forward. There's only the 4 that I'm going to mention here, which we believe are the most important in order for us to even actually pursue looking at immigration. And the first one was the establishment of a settlement agency in Timmins. And I'm happy to say that this is well underway. We have built a partnership again with the North Bay Multicultural Association, where we are looking to have a satellite office, a part-time satellite office open in Timmins in the very near future, and we are very excited about that. The second thing that we needed to look at is the creation of pre-ESL and FSL classes, again, linking back to the settlement office, and the development of a council and committee structure. And the biggest partnership, I guess, that would come out of the LIP Governing Council, and as we move forward, is to ensure that we are working with our Francophone networks. And we have made steps, and we've made strides, and we now are happy to say that we have full representation on our LIP Council of the Francophone communities. And they are becoming very involved as we move forward with the process. So with the governance model, we have a 2-level structure. We have the overall governing council, which, like I said, continues to evolve, and we have the 4 committees that we're looking at. And as we move forward, or as you read the slide, you'll notice that in every one, we talk about the strong connection between the Anglo and the Francophone communities in Timmins. Okay, so next steps. We've secured our funding for 2012, so we're moving forward and we're implementation of the governance model. I don't want to speak too much to that as well. Probably biggest project that we've been working on in the past year as we move forward with immigration, and specifically working with our employers, is the implementation of diversity training with employers. We did form a partnership, and we have a very strong partnership with our local Chamber of Commerce, and we were able to access funding through the Global Experience at Work program. And what we've done is we have, well, the main focus of the project is to integrate IEPs successfully in the workforce. Basically, what we're looking to do is to train individuals to go out into the community who are able to work with employers as well as their key staff, so that when internationally educated professionals do come to their workforce, they are welcome, they are integrated, and able to work successfully within their organizations. So we secured funding. We had a consultant out of Ottawa come out to up to our community, Greybridge Malcolm. They performed a needs analysis in a database for us. We identified 8 trainers, 7 of which are located in Timmins and 1 that is located in Thunder Bay. We held pilot session. We had a 3-day train the trainer, and now we're looking at rollout, and I'm happy to say that we're having a lot of positive feedback with our rollout. Northern College has really come on board, and we will be going later this month to do diversity training for over 100 students there, and we've had another inquiry as well to go out for another course. And we are also getting some feedback from employers that are interested in moving forward with diversity training. So we feel that this is very optimistic as we look to immigration and building our labor force as we move forward. And some of the key or important partnerships that we formed, specifically to be able to move immigration forward in our community, is working with community stakeholders, government, both the funders and being part of the COIA agreement negotiations, as well as the MIC committee, working in partnership with the Northeast region, working with Thunder Bay. This is a little bit different. We worked quite extensively with Thunder Bay in regards to training, both being able to attend training, and we've had a trainer come into our community as well to perform training for our LIV community. So we've built a very strong partnership with the Thunder Bay Multicultural Association as well. Timmins Chamber of Commerce, we spoke to the Global Experience at Work, and the North Bay District Multicultural Center with our proposed settlement office. Now, when we talked about Pan-Northern, as you might notice, each community has taken on a project or is a lead for a project. So Timmins was the lead for the Pan-Northern Marketing Initiative. This was a short-term project, roughly 3 months. It's coming to the end in March 31st, 2011. And basically, it was to develop Pan-Northern Immigrant Attraction and Community Awareness Campaign. And if you look around the room, you'll notice some of the products of the campaign as well. We have the full booth at the back, as well as the pull-ups. And again, it was funded through MCI under the Connecting Newcomers Canada with Ontario Municipalities program. So just a few other things that we've done with the marketing initiative. And probably the one single most important was to develop the landing page for Northern Ontario. So now anybody looking to either, I don't want to say invest, but look to immigrate to Northern Ontario, if they go to immigrationnorthernontario.com, there's a bilingual landing page that can direct them to any community in the north. We've done an employer awareness campaign, or I believe that one's just underway, targeting employers with all the hard facts. As we know, in the upcoming years, all of that labor force growth will coming from immigration. We need to make sure that our employers are aware of this and they are prepared to move forward. We are looking at a targeted marketing strategy for Francophone immigrants. Specifically in Timmins and throughout the north, we do have a large Francophone population, so it only makes sense to go after the Francophone immigrants. We will be looking at doing targeted marketing in the Ottawa, Montreal, Quebec area, and that is yet to take place. We talked about the trade shows, the walls, the tabletop, and the 2 pop-ups. I should talk a little bit more about the trade shows. The Pan-Northern group as a whole has attended the Internationally Educated Professionals Conference for at least 2 years. 3 or 4? Okay, so it's continuing to go. So we actually go and we are presented as a group representing all of the North. And in 2 weeks, we will be going again as a group to Vancouver to represent Northern Ontario at Metropolis. And I believe that's it. Anything you want to add about marketing?
All right, I promise this is going to be the last time you see me. Although that's not true, I think I'm on a panel tomorrow. Sorry, guys. I apologize in advance. All right, so as Diana indicated, this panel is mostly about kind of pan-northern initiatives. However, we are going to go, because it's supposed to be about partnerships and the importance of partnerships for any kind of attraction and retention initiatives, we're each going to go through a little bit of the kind of best practices partnership-wise within each community, our individual or respective community, and then speak about a pan-northern initiative that we work on. We've already given you a good overview of what's happening in North Bay, or what has happened over the past few years in North Bay, and I think everybody has a pretty good understanding, or that we do work in partnership. There's no question that has been the key to our success, is working together on all of these initiatives and coming up with common themes and so forth to move forward together. At the very get-go of this whole program, some people often ask, actually I was just asked twice by some different media, what started all of this? What was kind of the catalyst to get North Bay thinking about immigration? And it was our Business Retention and Expansion program that we undertook, the OMAF program. So we did probably 6 or 7 years ago now, where we interviewed several companies in town and asked about what their issues were, their challenges were with respect to retention and expansion. And overwhelmingly, the biggest kind of challenge they had was labor market issues. So trying to attract and retain the people, to retain the companies, or to maintain where they were at that point, but to be able to expand in the future, it just wasn't going to happen if we didn't do something from a labor market perspective. So the city itself, we said, okay, we need to come up with a labor market strategy. Here's some of those components. I think we're all working on youth development or youth retention initiatives throughout Northern Ontario. We know there's youth out-migration is an issue. Granted, we could keep every single youth we have in Northern Ontario and we still wouldn't have enough people, but it is part of our strategy. Immigration attraction and retention was at that point identified as one of our strategies, or one of the components of that overall labor market strategy. We've also undertook a labor market initiative program with the Labor Market Group and the Canada College and Chamber of Commerce, so a variety of partners within the community to identify where we're going to be missing people by sectoral basis. So we went and spoke with different companies from different sectors and did a large analysis of what's their gap going to be kind of on a go-forward basis. So currently, in a year, 5 years, 10 years down the road, what are they looking at retirement-wise? What are they looking at expansion-wise to project how many people we're going to need? So based on that information, we've been able to kind of continue on a lot of our programs. And then we did some very direct labor market activities. We were literally, the city was posting job postings for the companies in Kitchener and in Windsor and places like that for our companies. So we were vetting all the stuff. We were doing resumes, all that kind of stuff, vetting stuff for our companies as part of our overall attraction strategy. And that's how we started working as a group or as a cohort on the North Bay Newcomer Network. Was based on that. Okay, so as I indicated earlier, the partnership is key. We work not only from a city perspective. When I say the city of North Bay, I mean the region. I include Sturgeon Falls, and I include Temagami, Mattawa, Powassan, the whole region around us as a lot of what we do. So we work collaboratively from an economic development perspective on all kinds of programs with the region or the direct region, including immigration programming. So as somebody indicated earlier, we've just launched kind of the Skype opportunity so that we can do outreach and provide services to people within the kind of the proximity area. From a local leadership perspective, Dawn indicated earlier, about the MP and the MPP and the mayor's interest. Our mayor, our former mayor, our new mayor as well, extremely key and extremely supportive of immigration initiatives. Every single event, every single thing, the mayor is there. Like, there's no getting around it, which is a good thing because he's very positive. So we're always encouraging that to happen. So the Newcomer Network we talked about, so I'm not going to go through that a whole lot because we did talk at length about it this morning and a lot of the a lot of the successes we've had. Just wanted to include or add to this morning all of the programs that we've developed. A lot of them we develop as a model, or in a framework that we think, okay, how can other communities use this? So if somebody calls us, we get calls from all over the country saying, oh, I heard about this project, or I heard about this program, and how can I, and we're happy to help. We've actually developed how-to guides for some of our programs to give them to other communities, because we're cognizant that from the client's perspective or the newcomer's perspective, it's about them being happy wherever they end up. So whether they're in North Bay or whether they're in the Soo or whether they're in Toronto, they need to have a productive life and be integrated and all of that, because if they're not, they're going to leave anyway. So we try and share everything we possibly can with other communities to help them. So we can skip this because we already went through all this NNN stuff. Okay, Pan-Northern Partnerships. We talked a little bit about that, and that's essentially what we're going to be covering today. Ontario's North Tourism is a group of the 5 primary cities in Northern Ontario, so North Bay, Sault Ste. Marie, Sudbury, Thunder Bay, and Timmins. We've been working together for several years now on promoting Northern Ontario from a tourism perspective all over the place. So we have a partnership with the province. We all throw dollars in a pot, we leverage money from the province, and then we promote our region, as in Northern Ontario, for tourism. So we promote it to the media, we attend media shows on each other's behalf. So as opposed to, me and Sudbury and Timmins standing next to each other in booths, one of us goes, represents everybody, we have common marketing, we do that all year, every year, kind of group tour, sport tourism, all types of things like that. So we represent one another. So from a human resource perspective and a financial resource perspective, it makes a lot of sense, as well as an awareness, because you go into Toronto and you talk about smaller areas, like if you're going there and you're saying, hi, I'm from Timmins, they're like, Timmins, what? But if you go in and say, we're from Northern Ontario, and it includes, and then you talk about the cities and the attractions and the different things that you can do, there's a lot more. It's a lot easier to kind of target your market. So that's an example of one of the partnerships we have. From that, from an economic development perspective, we saw that that was a good model, and have since integrated the same kind of process from an economic development perspective. So the 5 primary cities in Northern Ontario have actually incorporated a body called, well, we call it 1DC, but Ontario's North Economic Development Corporation. And we work on a number of different projects with an economic development slant, I guess, on investment attraction, on different growth sectors together as a group. Same concept. We'll all put money in the pot, we'll leverage money, we'll run all kinds of projects. We do stuff with mining supply, we do stuff with, back office shared service things. We do a number of different projects together as a group. We've seen a fair bit of success with that, even again from the financial and human resource perspective. Saves us a lot of time, a lot of energy, and we get to share a lot of our, we can capitalize on each other's strengths. So that's basically from that perspective, from the 1DC perspective, that we've initiated a number of pan-northern immigration programs under the guise of 1DC. So I'm going to hand it over to JM to talk about one of those programs from 1DC.